Please stay now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. I'd like to tell you that I'm in a pretty decent mood, but unfortunately, I had a very tough situation with my family. My uncle Bob Stroll, the last remaining uncle that I have, passed away this morning at 1 o'clock in the morning due to cancer. He was projected to live about 6 months. Unfortunately, he succumbed to that disease 2 months into it. So, Uncle Bob, we're dedicating this show to you. So I hope you're looking upstairs and knowing that we're all thinking about you here on Inside the Pigskin. With that said, Stephen Reichel will join us in a bit. But right to left, we have Mel Farr Jr. Welcome back, Mel. Glad you're on.
Hey, it's great to be back. Appreciate it.
We're going to have Mel all year. We have Candy Ebling.
Great to be here, talking football.
Thanks. Eddie Prather, Cybruski, thanks very much for the kind words. Tommy Shanahan, welcome back.
Thank you. I don't have a dad who played in the NFL,
though. I don't either. But he does other things, but not that. And, of course, Marvin Powell, glad to have back on. Now we got two guys in the same area who exchange emails. They're on the same show. What a small world after all. No, don't expect me to sing it either. Otherwise, you guys are going to go deaf with my singing. It's not like make your own kind of music. I can't help it. I have to get that. All right, well, let's go ahead. And we're going to start off with some college football first. And we're going to start off here. The colleges with the most 2025 draft picks this year include Ohio State with 14, Georgia had 13, Texas had 12, Oregon with 10, Ole Miss had 8, Alabama had 7, Florida was 7, LSU was 7, Miami was 7, Michigan was 7. Mel, how do you go ahead and size up all of that?
Well, I mean, you look at the teams that are competing yearly for the national championship or on the college playoff finals, semifinals. Those are the teams that are obviously they're sending the most players to the league. The SEC has been doing a very, very good job. The Big Ten has been doing a very, very good job. The newcomers to the Big Ten haven't been doing an extremely good job. But I mean, some of the guys that have gone on to the NFL from like a UCLA, they've done pretty well. But that's kind of how things are going. I mean, you look at the teams that are doing extremely well in college football. Those are the teams that scouts are flocking to look at the players because they have all the best players. And, we know you can't win unless you have horses out there. So it doesn't surprise me that those conferences have the most players being drafted because that's where the talent is. I mean, the coaches are going to follow the talent. They're going to go where the talent is. These guys' jobs depend on them having horses out there. If you don't have the horses, it's very difficult to go out there and win.
Okay, Candy Ebling, you said you sent me a text. Why don't you explain what you sent me?
No, I was just texting something, sent to the wrong person. No problem. So here's what I'm going to say is that these colleges also have the most money. So these are the ones that have the NIL money to give. And so they're getting the better talent. And I would say not only talent on the field, but also the talented coaches that can really help these players and mold them to be better players. And that's why you're seeing more of them go into the NFL.
Okay. Marvin?
Yeah, I mean, what you're seeing really are, and Mel said it, well-run programs that are competitive year in and year out. These are schools that really had their NIL set up early, right? And you're seeing the results in the draft. At the end of the day, one of the best ways to determine what a recruiting class was is what they were doing in the draft 3, 4, 5 years later. And all of those schools recruit at an elite level. They have the bread. and they've had stability to some degree as well.
Tommy?
Well, what I find interesting is for the longest time, these kids were following each other on social media when Twitter became big. And that's why you had a lot of guys funneled to Alabama. And I think in a certain way, the NIL and revenue sharing is going to the NIL balances things out a little bit better. Duke has a quarterback, Darian Mensah, who's getting $4 million a year. He signed a two-year deal for $8 million. Marvin and Mel, you might know better than me. He's going to have to take a pay cut when he gets the NFL, isn't he?
If you don't get drafted in the first round, yeah.
So, Duke is, I don't know. I know I didn't like how social media changed college football and all these kids were all following each other in Alabama. My God, Tua Tagovailoa, the entire family moved from Hawaii to Alabaster, Alabama, just so they could play with a bunch of other all-stars. I don't like it. And I don't get it.
Yeah, now we got him in Miami. Go figure. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead. A little news item, and it's only just a news item. If you see double at NBC with the name Sims, I'll give you a good reason why. Phil Simms has joined NBC to be a college football announcer, doing as an analyst. He'll join his son Chris Sims there. So Phil Simms is now a member of NBC. So that just came about today, and I just thought we'd go ahead and pass it along. So with that said, now Stephen Reichel joins the program, and we'll continue on. Okay, Stephen, we'll wait for him to get on. He's fresh. He only missed one topic today. That isn't too bad. So we don't play catch up here because I saved a lot of the cream of the crop for you, Stephen. So we'll continue on that way. The Chargers will travel around the globe this season and another 13 miles and beyond. And they're going to travel a total of 37,086. The Earth's circumference is 24,901. You talk about road warriors, Mel. The LA Chargers are it.
Yeah, yeah. And, that's part of that's a part of the league now. Where they're located. Are they playing one of those games?
Brazil.
Yeah, they're playing. Okay, so I mean, that happens. I mean, I know I played a couple times overseas. Played one time in Germany. Played one time in Japan. It was actually nice, but it just depends on how you set up the travel. Typically, teams go a couple days earlier. Those West Coast teams they leave on a Friday versus leaving on a Saturday. So you give yourself an opportunity to try to acclimate to the time difference. It's not really that big of a deal. These guys are getting paid big money. It's not as big of a deal as we like to make it out to be. The planes are probably much nicer than the planes that we had back when I was playing. They used to make the guys who weren't really tenured or the rookies, you'd have to sit all tight together. The vets are stretched out, laid across, laying down, relaxed. Or, then there's guys back in the back gambling and doing whatever it is that they're doing. So it's not really that big of a deal. You're relaxing. You're off your feet. That's the big thing. You're off your feet. You're relaxing. You can, get into your playbook. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make good use of that time when you're traveling. So it's not that big of a deal.
Andy, by the way, Daniel, Barry Sports, glad to have you in here. Thanks for joining us. Eddie Prather, I'm old enough to remember Marvin Powell Jr. with the Jets. Guess what? You're on with his son now, so glad that you're on here. Eddie, as usual, you're one of the favorites here for that giveaway. I see the comments you're putting in that chat room, and I was telling Josh and the guys today, it isn't how many times you come on, but it's what you put in that chat room. And Eddie, if I were a betting man, you're definitely in one of the leads. So Josh and the guys, you better get it in gear because Eddie Prather is coming to town. All right, that ought to put a bug in there. You know what? All right, Candy, go ahead.
So yeah, the Chargers. Let's face it, for them, even a lot of the away games, if they're playing East Coast, they're flying across the country. Yeah, the 37,086. The next team is the Los Angeles Rams at 35,266. The next one is Seattle at 32,232. All three are on one coast. Then the next one would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. Well, we know they go to London a lot, so they're at 28,000. And then the other one is San Francisco 49ers. Again, a West Coast team. All of those have to travel far. It's not your Midwest teams that are going to be traveling the farthest because they're in between. If they have to play the West Coast or the East Coast, unless they're going overseas a lot, they're not going to have as much traveling as some of these West or East Coast teams. And it depends on what conference they're all playing either. But yeah, so the Chargers are going to, it's not the first time the Chargers have done it. And like Mel said, the traveling these days is not the same as the traveling for like us as fans, cramped in a small seat and stuff like that either. So,
Tommy?
I can't say anything good about the Chargers since they moved from San Diego, where I worked for a long time. But I'll say this: maybe they'll have more fans on these long road trips than they do at home. Well, they have so many fans fill the LA stadium from other cities, and then I loved what the Rams did to them. They share SoFi Stadium with the Rams, and when they had their exhibition game the other day, the Rams won, and the Rams social media put up a post signing off a direct shot at Jim Harbaugh in the NCAA penalty. It was very clever.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get on the Chargers love train, and obviously we weren't getting that anyways. All right, Marvin.
These guys travel all over the world for vacation. They've been traveling their whole life since college. I've never played overseas, but I've played in LA and had to fly to New York to play a game, come back, and fly to Florida. You get used to that, with the money to travel, all the digital entertainment, the devices. These guys are good to go. That's not really a big deal. I think it's more of a narrative that people need sometimes just to keep conversations going. But I don't think it's a big deal at all. I really don't.
Okay, Steven.
What was the question, brother?
What was the question? Chargers got some frequent flyer miles, brother. They're traveling 37,086 miles. A lot. That's what they have.
Well,
and the Earth circumference is 24,901. What's that?
That's what happens when you're on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm. Is it? Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll tell you
that travel that are on the West Coast, they typically fly more than anyone else in the league.
I can tell people a story a long time ago when I got married. My only other time was I ended up flying. I was covering a Raiders game, I think it was, and ended up, or was it a 49ers on the West Coast anyways. I flew back to Detroit, picked up my soon-to-be wife, and went to Lake Tahoe, and then I ended up going back to Detroit all within a matter of 72 hours. So it was just, you talk about a little time machine. That's what it was, something like that. All right, well, let's go to new.
Can I add, Scott? Can I add? Because I did a little more research now. So, ironically, they will also travel more mileage than all but 3 MLB teams to travel this whole year. Last year, they were also traveled the most, but they only traveled 26,803 miles. This season, they will also travel 42 time zones as well. Now I'm done.
A lot. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to New York. The New York Giants have a quarterback situation who will start. Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, Tommy DeVito. Mel.
Well, we know Russell Wilson's going to start. He hasn't looked that well the past couple of years. He's not the same Russell. And to be honest with you, that whole let Russell cook thing, I think, got to his head, and that it kind of got blown out of proportion. Russell Wilson he's a system quarterback. He needs a good run game behind him. And then with his ability to throw the ball the way he throws the ball, that deep ball in particular, the play action game is huge for him. But for him to sit back there and stand in the pocket and you want him to chuck it around 35 times a game, That's not going to be successful. You're not going to play winning football that way. I've always liked Russell from when he was in college, watched him play at Wisconsin and was very impressed with him. When he got drafted, I knew that, that he had the potential to be something special. But it seems to me that Russell, he doesn't see the field the same way that he used to see it. I don't think he's as hungry as he used to be. I think Russell's really out there trying to, this is just my observation. This looks like he's getting a check. I think he's gone too Hollywood. He's got the beautiful wife, the beautiful kids. He's always at the ESPYs and all the other kind of award shows and different things of that nature. I think he's gone a little bit too Hollywood, and I really don't think that just looking at it, he doesn't enjoy the game the way that he used to. He doesn't have that same hunger. He doesn't have that chip on his shoulder. So when he came in the league, he had a chip on his shoulder, and it seemed like he had something to prove, and he went out there and proved it. Now it seems like he feels like he's arrived, and he doesn't seem to put the same work in it. He says all the right stuff, but it doesn't translate over on the football field. At least I haven't seen it yet. So I expect him to start the beginning of the year, but I expect him to probably, I think they're really high on Jackson Dart. Obviously, they traded up to get him, and I think they like him. Yeah, they wanted to develop him, but I think, I think probably midway through the season, I think they'll make that change to Jackson Dart. Obviously, the coaches are playing for their their jobs as well, but at the same time, they need to try to develop the quarterback. Let's try to see what they have in this quarterback to see if he's going to be the quarterback for the future, whether it's for this coaching staff or the coaching staff that comes in.
Yeah, Sean Payton felt the same way. That's why he gave him a one-way ticket out of Denver. I agree with you. He was getting too comfortable and didn't want him to do that. All right, I'm going to turn over to Steven. I'll go last with Candy this time, but go ahead, Steven.
I think Mel hit a lot of points on the head. I don't think he's the same quarterback he was when he was in Seattle. I think it showed exactly who he was in Denver. Even last year in Pittsburgh, remember he was hurt the beginning half of the year, and Justin Fields had them doing very good. Within the first 10 weeks of the season, Russ came back, and then the wheels completely fell off the bus down there in Pittsburgh. Now, obviously, both Fields and Russ are in their respective New York teams right now, but I think he is Hollywood right now. I think New York was picked for marketing reasons, for sponsorship reasons, things of that nature. Again, back to what Mel said, he's not the same kid he was when he came in. He doesn't have that chip on his shoulder. He doesn't have what the old Philly saying. He don't have the eye of the tiger anymore. And I love what he's accomplished, in his early career. He's not the same dude. He at this point in time, regardless of who is or isn't going to be there in the future for New York, the priority right now is getting Jackson Dart acclimated to what it's going to take to be a professional quarterback in the National Football League. And from what I've seen in that first preseason game, he looks like he's the right part. I think they probably have their best quarterback that they probably have drafted at any point in time over the last 20 years. So I would venture to say that I think he's probably the third best quarterback in the NFC East right now, and that's with Russ on the roster. No disrespect to Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott's overpopulated, overpaid. I don't think that it shouldn't take long for Jackson to kind of make his self known. Just got to make sure they have the right guys around him. He does have some weapons there, but again, back to what Mel was saying, Russ is a quarterback that needs to be in a certain system. He can't throw the ball 30 to 35 times a game. He needs to have a good offensive line and a good running game behind him. He does not have that in New York. I think he's just there for a paycheck, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but we'll see what happens when the season plays out.
Fraser agrees with you about Dak Prescott. Okay, Marvin.
When you watch these preseason games, you got to be careful because, these young quarterbacks have looked good so far, right? But you got to remember, the defense isn't doing anything to disrupt them, schematically or in any way. They're just playing. It's an extension of practice out there, and they've been practicing against each other, that week leading up to the game. With all that said, Dart looks good. And if the Giants don't start out fast, if Russell don't get no wins out the gate, they got to put this kid in there because with these young quarterbacks, they're starting so young with their development. So you're getting guys now who've had much better coaching at the youth level, guys like Dart who have a ton of starts. They're way more experienced than we've ever seen in the history of the game, So if the Giants don't come out the gate looking like a playoff team, you're going to see that young boy real quick. And you may see a different version of him because in the regular season, the game goes faster. Those defensive coordinators, they coming after you, and he'll have, I think, he'll have a typical rookie year, but Russ needs to come out winning. If not, he's on the bench fast.
Let's go to Eddie Fraser's comments. I think the Giants could have a decent running game with the combo of Tracy and Shadow.
They still don't have the offensive line yet, Eddie.
Okay. All right. That's what he says. All right, Tommy.
I think Mel said it well that he's not only not the same quarterback, he's not the same person he was when he first got to Seattle and when he played at North Carolina State and Wisconsin. He's not the same person. But they do need his experience somehow, the Giants do, to carry him for a while so they're not throwing Jackson Dart into the fire like they did Daniel Jones. I saw Daniel Jones play a lot at Duke, and he's better than people think he is. And I think he got beat up at the Giants, and he didn't handle the pressure well. And maybe he's going to make a comeback with the Colts. I don't know. The all-time greatest comeback story, of course, for a quarterback who got beat up on a bad team was Jim Plunkett.
Yeah.
He got murdered with the Patriots. Everyone thought he was done. Al Davis signed him when Kenny Stabler was still playing and told Plunkett to just sit on the bench and get healthy, get your confidence back. And he won 2 Super Bowls, and he should be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Tommy. I'm glad somebody brought up Plunkett. All right, Candy, I gave you a lot of ammunition in front of you. You shouldn't have a problem acing this test.
Well, the problem is everybody took all the good stuff out of it. No, let's talk a little bit about Jackson Dart, though. I mean, he started at USC, and then he transferred to Ole Miss, and he played for, not only do we know this coach, Lane Kiffin, who has developed some good quarterbacks in the past. At Ole Miss, he surpassed Eli Manning, who we know was in the NFL for how long. So will it be long before he's developed enough that he goes in? Like Marvin Powell said, one of the things that Green Bay had always done is drafted and let them sit and watch. But do we need to do that as much anymore? Because they do have the experience. So I think, yes, Russell went to Wisconsin. He was great at Wisconsin. He was hungry when he first came out. He is not the same. He's bounced around now from a couple teams. Does he have the same supporting cast? Does he have the desire? Those are all questions that only he really can answer. The question is, and this is what I'll say, it's his job right now to lose. But he can lose it very quickly if they go sideways. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm going to say is it's his job to lose. We'll see how long it takes the Giants to make that move.
Yeah, people in New York don't boo Santa Claus, but they boo everybody else. I'll just say this much. They are not forgiving. If you don't get it right fast, you're going to be out of there. You really will. They have no patience whatsoever. If you can win in New York, you're looking awfully good. That Joe Namath guarantee doesn't work there anymore. And they were half the size they were when Joe Namath was playing. The reality is, the situation is every quarterback should be like Patrick Mahomes. Sit 15, 16 games, and maybe by the end of the year you get to play and hold the clipboard. It doesn't work that way. That awful. We could talk about this forever. But we're going to move on to Notre Dame and Clemson. They've agreed to a 12-year annual football series that's set to start in 2027. Now, what do you think about the Irish and Clemson 12-game series? Not bad. 2 big powers.
Well, I mean, Notre Dame plays an ACC schedule anyway, pretty much right now. They play one of the schools in the ACC. I think it'll be good. It'll be good for both of them. I mean, I think we like to see competitive football as fans. We like to see competitive football. We like to see the best going against the best. We don't particularly care when Alabama plays Mercer. Nobody really cares about those kind of games. But, Notre Dame, I have never really been a fan of Notre Dame. But, since they got the new coach there, Notre Dame is playing a different brand of football right now. They're a lot more physical. They're a lot tougher. This year, I don't know, when does that series start?
2027.
2027.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good for them because Notre Dame, they got a new quarterback. They're trying to figure out, who they are after being in the championship game last year. This year, obviously, Clemson has a guy who people think might be the number 1 overall draft pick. But I think it's good. I think it's good when they schedule these types of games. We want to see good on good. We want to see these types of games with the expanded playoff format. It gives you an opportunity to play these types of games where you don't have to worry about a loss hurting you later on down the road because, if you go ahead and run the table or handle your business throughout the rest of the season, you'll still have an opportunity to redeem yourself in the playoffs. So I like seeing these types of games. Now, players may not particularly care for it because that's another headache. They don't mind the layup games. You get an opportunity to pad your stats. But from a fan perspective, we love to see these types of games.
All right, let's go to the chat room. Let's talk Sports Network. Based on that QB room, Dart may not get a start this season. I think the best case scenario for the Giants is they hope he probably doesn't and can sit. But whether that becomes the case or not, I don't know. But I like that point. It's a good one. I really think that's pretty good. And Steve, go ahead, you can even read your comment that you just put in there.
I mean, I'm just gonna say if they have success, Dart won't start. But I don't see Wilson, let alone Jameis Winston, putting enough wins together early on. We, as you were already alluding to, the coaching staff in there is under the hot seat. So. I think, if they start off, like a 2-7 type of situation through the first 10 games or so, you could see the media and the fans wanting to see what they got in Dart. So, like I said, I don't see them having the success with Wilson or Jameis Winston. I think by the time we get to the last 2 months of the season, we're going to see Jackson Dart start.
Okay, Steve, now on to the Notre Dame Clemson series.
Listen, you want to put some of the bigger schools that have the nation's attention and have them in these showcase matchups. I'm all for it. It doesn't matter if it starts this year, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever. When you have two programs that are going to be in the runnings for potential national championships and in the college football playoffs, why not get them matched up in the regular season to see what you got when everything lays out? Notre Dame just brought in a king's nepotism class of former players, so they're going to have a lot of buzz around them over the next 4 years, regardless. So we'll see how everything lays out, but I think it should be an interesting matchup, regardless.
Candy.
For both schools, the agreement has practical implications as well. Notre Dame ensures a marquee matchup on its schedule as it hopes to build a playoff resume as an independent. For Clemson, an annual game against one of the biggest brands in college football figures to juice ratings for the Tigers as the ACC begins a new era in which revenue is distributed in part based on TV ratings. It also gives them some schedule flexibility and insurance for both schools as the SEC continues to discuss moving to a 9-game conference slate.
Turn it over to Marvin.
Yeah, it's great for college football. As a fan of the game, which I am, I look forward to seeing, two big programs go at it. Notre Dame's coming off a national championship appearance, and Clemson with Dabo, they've been there. Both programs, especially with Marcus Freeman, on the come up, want to be relevant. And Notre Dame needs this, to be honest with you, because outside of that game with USC, who do they really play? And that's really an issue. So for credibility, for everything that Candy said, I think it makes a lot of sense. It is good to see that they have a commitment for 12 years because, you want to see consistent football at a high level, and I think they're going to give it to us. So it's a good thing.
Tommy, you're the ACC guy. You're in that.
Well, I think it's a better deal for Clemson than Notre Dame. I don't know why Notre Dame would commit to such a long deal. They can get a scheme with anybody they want if they want tough competition.
That's not what that's not what the schedule says. The scheduling doesn't say that.
That's what I mean. They can, if they want to get a tough one, they can. Anyone will play them. Anyone wants the chance to play Notre Dame. You're right. They don't always play a tough schedule. But, is Clemson going to remain a powerhouse? Dabo's 55. All coaches start to lose their edge at some point. 12 years down the road, 14 years down the road, is Clemson still going to be Clemson? And, Notre Dame, with that ACC schedule, they've already had to drop traditional rivals. They don't play Purdue and Michigan State anymore. I don't know what it is. Marvin, you might know the story better than me of what's going on about USC and Notre Dame not renewing their series, possibly not renewing their series. I mean, that's criminal that those teams wouldn't play each other. They still play Navy all the time, and that dates to World War II, because Notre Dame Navy essentially has saved Notre Dame financially during World War II when they sent a lot of their naval officer training school to Notre Dame. Notre Dame was facing bankruptcy, and so Notre Dame has said we'll always play Navy as a thank you for that. But sometimes Notre Dame has a very tough schedule. Are they dropping Northern Illinois for Clemson? I don't know. I'd have to look at the schedule more. I just don't get Clemson when there's so many more traditional big-name teams that they could play historically. I'm not convinced Clemson's going to retain its power after Dabo Swinney.
Well, this was a head scratcher when I first saw it. I'm thinking to myself, Notre Dame could play anybody they want. They really can. Write your ticket whoever you want for the most part. But with all due respect, okay, they do need it in terms of their resume to have a team like Clemson on there. They really do. They've never really had these resume building type of things is what they've never had. And this is just a situation where they really need to do this. And I think it's going to be good for college football to see this, because remember, in the Big Ten, sometimes Michigan will play Nebraska, sometimes they won't. But here you're guaranteed for 12 years in a row, these guys are going to play each other. They really are. So I think it's pretty cool. J.D. Wyatt, Notre Dame. All right, go ahead, Candy. Read this one. He's your teammate.
Notre Dame did themselves a huge favor by getting an alliance with the ACC. Notre Dame should just join a conference already.
Yeah. They should have been in the Big Ten anyways, but that's beside the point. All right. I'll tell you what, NBA money is spent differently. Why? I'll break these numbers down for you. Jason Tatum, Boston Celtics get $314 million. But let's go to the New England Patriots. They have $284 million to play with. They spend it on Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses, Milton Williams, Harold Landry, Carlton Davis, Josh Dobbs, Kyrus Tonga, Austin Hooper, Matt Collins. Boy, you get an awful lot more players for that kind of cabbage, right, Steven?
Basketball players get paid ridiculous money for no reason anymore. None. they don't play 82 games. They have to have their load management. This happens, that happens. They cry and moan, and they get paid more than most of these guys. They get super max contracts. It's ridiculous anymore. The contract that NBA players. I'm not saying that they're not great athletes, but I mean I can't remember a time in the past 15 years where you had more than a handful of guys play 82 games. It's one of these things where, we complain about baseball contracts. They play 162 games. They try to trot their butts out there, hurt or not. Basketball players find ways to not play. I can't imagine that. I think John Stockton had a comment recently. It was like, like referencing telling his dad that he was only going to go to work like a quarter, like 3/4 of the time that he was supposed to. And
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it's the era, the culture that they bring in. I can't put my finger on it. I could care less about what the contracts are right now. It's ridiculous. More than half of them don't deserve it. And listen, we live in America. Listen, if someone's going to offer you the money, I'm not faulting these guys for taking it, but the fact that it's being played the way it's being played, then you have the play in to get into the playoffs. Wait, we need more than 82 games to figure out where the top 8 teams in each conference is? Are you kidding me? I love basketball, but basketball has lost its heart, its soul over the past 15 years, if you ask me.
Yeah, Steven just got the news today that on a text message that the professor and the pupil might be a dumping ground for NBA stuff. So he's breaking.
I mean, we're getting closer to the basketball getting back into shape again. There ain't nothing wrong with talking some basketball.
Yeah, well, good. It'll be on the professor and the pupil like every other thing that we put on there. And of course, Steven, he feels like his show's a dumping ground for all the topics these other shows don't want. But I'm just kidding with you, Steven. Well, maybe it is a little bit, but I can admit that. But the reality is this, okay? $284 million could buy an awful lot of players, and $314 million could buy you Jason Tatum. Where do you want to go with this, Marvin?
That's the business of basketball. They've created value. They have a market. This is what they negotiated. They're getting paid their worth based upon what they bring in. And, I think in regards to the load management and all that, I hear you, Steve. I think that's a microcosm, just, when you look at it in our society, because as a culture, I think our work ethic isn't what it was, So, I think that's across the board, to be honest with you, especially with these young folk. But, when you're making, $50, $60 million a year, I would imagine that, you feel some kind of way in regards to your power to say, I don't want to work today. I need today off. I don't know. But, it definitely it's a situation where in basketball, you're only paying 12 guys. In NFL, you got to pay 50 guys, So you're not going to see, those kind of numbers like Jason Tatum. But it is what it is, man. And that's why, when you look at, football, basketball, baseball, the biggest sports in America, without question, the harder sport to get into is the NBA. Because there's so few players, and if you get on that roster, boy, you didn't hit the lottery. Literally. You get paid well in all the sports, but basketball is a whole nother level. And it's a players-run league. The players run that league without question, and they have a lot to say as to how it's going to go, and that's what we're seeing.
Great points across the board, Marvin. I knew you would come up with something like this. All right, Shanny, I don't know if you can top what Marvin did, but try anyways.
Yeah, well, the NBA went global first, thanks to Magic and Larry Bird and Michael Jordan, and they're still cashing in on all that. The NBA was worried about offending China. I don't think the NFL has to worry about offending China. So there's always going to be more money globally in the NBA. I'm old enough to remember when Magic Johnson signed a 25-year deal for $25 million, and people were shocked. $1 million a year for 25 years. What's Jerry Buss doing to the NBA? Of course, now it's peanuts.
Right.
All right, Katie, I want you to read J.D. Wyatt's comment, then you can comment yourself. We'll leave it over to Mel for the last word on the topic.
Patriots are going to scrap and claw this year to a respectable record with an easy schedule. Then this offseason, they will be spending dollars to get back to relevance. Under Vrabel, I think they'll get there.
Okay, go ahead. Pick it up from there.
So NBA players earn more than NFL players. Part of it has to, like Marvin was saying, NBA teams have 15 players compared to NFL has 53 teams. So the smaller roster size allows for higher individual player salaries, with the average NBA player earning more than the average NFL player. the NBA distributes a larger portion of its revenue to player salaries as well. So that makes a difference. I would venture to say that the facilities are way different from NFL as opposed to NBA. They just need a gym with basketballs. Whereas the NFL, they have a lot more equipment, a lot more, a lot of different things. So they have a lot of more expenses. So that's why they don't distribute some of the revenue that they do. Yes, the NFL makes way more revenue than the NBA. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I can't question. I'm not one of these that can just call my boss and say, "Hey, I don't want to work today." I'm not making that kind of money, so I'm not one of those that can just call up and say, "Hey, I don't feel like working, so I'm not going to work today." No, now we have sick days that we can use as employees, and so I guess the NBA. I mean, let's face it, NFL, you're on the field either on Saturdays or Sundays typically. And it's one day a week that the gameplay. Now I get you practice and you do other things, but actual games you play one day a week. Whereas basketball plays more often. They're playing more days consecutively and stuff like that. Who am I to say that a guy that's making $50 million can't say I'm going to rest today?
Okay, Mel.
Well, I mean, I would have a problem with that, but the guys they don't have the same love for the game. I mean, Magic and those guys, when they were playing Dr. J, the guys who built this game, they played every game, and didn't even think about load management or anything like that. But TV and the money has changed everything. And I think TV has a lot to do with it. Obviously, the money has a lot to do with it. They're making a big investment in these players. They want to try to get something out, make sure that they're able to get something out of these players. But I think that television is, ruined a lot of the games, because I think some of these leagues are in bed with some of these networks, and they want to see certain things, and I think there needs to be separation between the networks and the league, so the leagues can run their business the way they need to run the business, and let the network do whatever they want to do. But because these leagues are so heavily dependent upon the revenue that comes from the networks, they're kind of in bed with one another. Now, yeah, we know the NBA has a much better collective bargaining agreement than the NFL. We kind of messed up as far as that's concerned, trying to claw our way back to getting percentages of the revenue. It's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. We have some very shrewd owners. I'm not saying the NBA doesn't have shrewd owners as well, but they have some shrewd individuals that their union is a lot tighter than the NFL union. It's a lot easier, like you said, you have 15 guys. It's a lot easier to get that collective 15 times 30, how many ever teams there are. It's a lot easier to keep those guys together than it is to try to get 32 times 53. Plus, you have people on the practice squad and whatnot. It's very, very difficult to get everybody on the same page. But I believe that money is changed both games. Yeah, the money is not relative, obviously. I mean, but it's entertainment. You have to understand. Nobody cries or complains about Tom Cruise making the type of money that he makes when he makes a movie. Don't complain about the kind of money these guys are making in the NBA. Hey, look here, I'm all for it. Get all the money that you can. Get it all. And these guys, you're talking about, somebody like, what the guy's going through down there right now in Dallas. He's holding in right now. And I think, Michael Parsons. I think that's silly that they have to hold in now. But they gave that away because the fines are so significant now for holding out. The fines didn't used to be so significant to hold up, but now the fines are significant to hold out. It's not Micah's first responsibility is to his family. His responsibility is not try to win a Super Bowl. His responsibility is to the family. It's the owner's responsibility to try to win the Super Bowl. Okay, they're the ones that put in the salary cap. It's his job to make the salary cap work. It's Micah's job to get as much money as he possibly can for him and his family. That's his responsibility. So I don't fault these players for getting this money. Get the money. It's out there. They're giving it away. Get it.
Let's not forget that Jerry Jones just paid their tight end $52 million over the next 3 years too.
Yeah, see, I don't fault them for getting their money. I'll just say one thing: AC Greens don't grow on trees, right, Marvin? AC Green's a guy that played every single game, here's a guy that load management was a foreign language. He didn't know what it was.
There was no such thing as load management back then.
He was disciplined in a whole other way. You know what I mean? AC Green.
Yeah, exactly.
So he was
a virgin and all that.
Exactly.
In LA.
He was a 30-year-old virgin.
Well, that's true. But let's keep the consecutive games thing here. I know we could go that route. And I don't have Josh and the guys to talk about Virginia on the show. Otherwise, these guys would be playing that movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest there. And this is an interesting night to not use that because these guys are out in La La Land someplace and not on the show. But the reality is AC Green played a lot of consecutive games, and these guys wouldn't know what a consecutive game is.
Here it is. Scott, if they're going to pay me to sit down, I'm going to sit down. Right? Okay. If I have that, if I'm afforded that opportunity not to play, and I'm gonna still get my check, I'm gonna sit down and get my check. Now, as fans, you don't like it, right? As the media, you don't like it, but as a player, you gotta love it, right, Marvin? I mean, you gotta love it.
Yeah, I agree with Mel. 100%.
Well, the bottom line is when I brought this,
it's like Hunter down there in Jacksonville. Why would he play both ways? Are they paying him 2 salaries? Is he getting a wide receiver salary and a DB salary? He's getting 1 salary. Why would you play both ways? Why would you do that?
I'll tell you why.
I see that.
It's called ego. EGO.
Man, forget that ego. It's about money. It's about me. They'll allow him to do that because they'll use him up. That's fine. They'll do that. They'll use him up. They'll allow him to do it. But why would you even consider doing it? Forget about ego, man. It's about making money. It's about taking care of your family. Unless they're going to give him 2 salaries, unless they're going to give him a wide receiver salary and a DB salary, he should be playing one side of the ball. Choose it, whichever side you want to play, and stick to that side. Why are you going to go out there and do that to yourself?
We don't know what was negotiated and what was put in that contract. Very good point, Neil. We don't know. Maybe that was accounted for in the contract. You don't know, right? Keep in mind again, one of his biggest inspirations, Deion Primetime Sanders, played both ways at times in his career. I don't know. This could have been built in already, part of the plan.
Yeah, but is the guy getting wide receiver money or the other? I don't even know.
He signed what he get? He got almost 50, right? He got what? Yeah, he got almost 50. Him and Cam.
It should have been 100 then if he's playing both ways.
The other thing to think about is, does he win the Heisman Trophy if he doesn't play both ways? He got so much attention for that.
That's high school. That's college.
That's college. That worth to it?
Yeah, but the reason he won a Heisman Trophy is because he played both ways.
Exactly.
And it brings endorsement money too.
Really? Seriously, really? That's why he won the Heisman Trophy. I think it's the most overrated award in the planet anyways.
The bigger issue, he's already hurt.
Right. He's slight as it is.
He's slight. He's already hurt in the preseason. Them boys ain't even playing their ones yet.
No. Yeah. I mean, you tackled Derrick Henry a few times.
Right? Exactly.
I'll tell you one thing I love about you guys. Well, here's a simple math, okay? And I'm going to put simple math out there, and I'm bad at it, okay? If you ever go look for a lottery ticket, here's what I'm going to tell you. 314 is the first 3 numbers, and 314 and 284. We have 314 million for one player, 284 for a bunch of them. And now we're talking about load management. We're talking about a virgin. We're talking about a guy that can play both ways. Holy moly! I'll tell you, Vince Scully, we got stories off the wang here. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. I don't even. And you know what? All I am is a cotton-picking reporter. I got a bunch of athletes on in front of me. Don't feel too bad, Tommy. You are one too. But we're talking about we're reporters. We should be playing both ways. I don't know if this guy's getting paid wide receiver money, defensive back money, whatever the heck it is. All I know it's a fun topic, and everybody's got a lot of different viewpoints. We're going to have a lot of comments on YouTube when this is over with. But come on. I'll tell you, $284 million can buy an awful lot of players. And in the NBA, $314 million gets to buy one. Why do you think the Boston Celtics sold? Because it was time for the other ownership to get out, bring in the new. There you go. That is our version of mathematics, and that's that. But I enjoy this interaction. Mel, I tell you, I miss your passion. I miss everything when you come at me. You and I used to have some of the best damn arguments on the planet when you were here before. Bring it on, Mel. I want it, and I'll tell you what. The next time I go back to the Big Chicken, I'll hurl a chicken wing across that restaurant and see if I can hit Colonel Sanders with it.
Bring it on.
I will, unless I go ahead and unless I throw out my shoulder like some of these pitchers. I don't need Tommy John surgery because of a chicken wing. Oh, never mind. Get me going with that. Really? Seriously, really? All right, we'll go on to one more topic before we go ahead over to Candy Embley with a station break. And then we're going to talk about Kyle Trask. Can he be the future of the Tampa Bay Bucks? We're going to let Mel get it going.
Kyle Trask, could he be the future for the Tampa Bay Bucks?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield's there now, but do you think he'll eventually be the future quarterback for the Bucks?
Probably not. I mean, I don't think Baker's just going to. I don't think he's ready to turn over the keys anytime soon. Baker's young. Baker's been playing well. They put a good team around Baker. He's been, I think he made the Pro Bowl last year. No, I don't believe so. I think that Baker's entrenched in that position right now. Kyle, he might be able to get another, if he puts some good film together, he might be able to get another opportunity somewhere else because there are some teams that are been a quarterback needy, like the Colts. I know somebody said that Daniel Jones was not as bad as he's shown to be, but I mean, I can only believe my lying eyes. My eyes tell me what they tell me, and he hasn't been that good. But there's some teams out there that need that do need a quarterback. He may get an opportunity somewhere else and then bring somebody else in and develop him, but I don't think it's going to happen in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so you're saying he's auditioning for his next spot in Tampa during the spring, during the preseason, right?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. Tommy?
I just read something the other day that Teddy Bridgewater is playing better than him for the backup role. So what does that say about Kyle Trask?
Not much.
And that's not taking anything away from Teddy. It just shows you that, they're going to have to look somewhere else.
Marvin?
Listen, Baker has proven himself. He's a baller. And he, I think he found him an organization that believes in him to a degree. He's a Pro Bowl player, as we said. He's shown me. I didn't believe in Baker at first, but he's shown me he can play this game at a high level, and I do believe in him. And his numbers speak for themselves. Kyle has no future in Tampa unless Baker goes down like Joe Theismann.
Okay. Steven?
I don't think he's going to be doing anything. I would be surprised if he actually makes the roster, being that they brought in a Teddy Bridgewater. Baker Mayfield ain't going anywhere anytime soon. He's one of the better stories that we've had as far as, quarterbacks being in the wrong system and finally finding a team, a coach that believes in him, and he's showing out. He knocked my Eagles out of the playoffs two years ago. Baker ain't going nowhere. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the third quarterback. I would not be surprised if he would be the odd man out.
Andy?
Let's face it. In the next preseason game, we're not gonna see the first string. We're not gonna see Baker. There's just no way. So are we gonna see Teddy? We might, but we're gonna see Kyle Trask, and this is gonna be his audition. This is gonna be his audition, whether he gets a chance to stay as a backup in Tampa Bay or whether he gets moved to someplace else. So he has not shown good on film this preseason. This is his chance. I'm not going to say it's make or break, but it's getting closer to that at this point. Much to the dismay of a lot of Gator fans. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. It's time for a station break.
Well, let's just put Eddie's up there.
Baker got the police on football hell before he completely ruined them.
He's a smart man. They still.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you one thing though. I will say this about the situation he had. Todd Bowles is a heck of a coach. He really, really is, and he's showing exactly what kind of a coach he is in Tampa. Shows to the Miami Dolphins.
I don't know. I don't like what they're doing to the other kid from Georgia right now. Desmond Watson, they still won't even let him practice yet.
Well, I know one thing. I like Todd Bowles.
Yeah, me
You
too.
talking about the big guy? I mean, they're doing that for his
the
health.
big guy. Yep.
I mean, he's 460
I
pounds.
thought that was their secret weapon to stopping the tush push when we go down there to Tampa this year. But I don't even think they're going. Is he going to make the team?
I mean, he'll probably be on the practice squad. I don't know what weight they want him to get to, but I mean, he's been playing at that weight all his life. So,
what does he weigh?
Well, he was 400 plus. He was 400 plus.
460 pounds.
That's dangerous. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's big.
It is.
It's big.
And he got to stay in shape because the human body ain't made to support 400. The heart ain't made to support that.
I agree with you there.
You got to stay in shape.
If that was the case, then why'd you draft him?
They didn't draft him. They didn't draft him. He's a free agent.
Oh yeah. Why'd you pick him up? If you already didn't have the conversation with this man, why'd you bring him in?
Well, you never know he's going to find it.
It's a novelty. I mean,
yeah, you're right.
People are talking about it like we're talking about it here.
He's a Florida boy.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, give the kid an opportunity. I mean, he has some. He's pretty athletic to be that size. So see what you can get out of him.
Well, listen, you can't call him the refrigerator down here. You might as well call him the oven.
Oh, he's way bigger than the refrigerator.
Exactly. That's my point.
He's the whole tailgate. What the hell with the oven?
All right. Well, I know one thing. Go ahead, Katie. It's your time for a station break.
He's a double wide.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. I like that. That's a good way to go to station break. Go ahead.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to the podcast, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune.com. I will do a little shameful plug. This past weekend, we publicized and put up Scott's interview with who, Scott? The famous writer.
Bob Ryan of the Boston Globe.
There you go. Go check it out.
And guess what? I put it in Stephen Reichel's story. Stephen, I had a hard time getting it on Twitter. I don't know why they were giving me some message that I couldn't put it on there. I got some weird message, but I did put it on Facebook for you. I don't know. Sometimes Twitter tends to play a few tricks on there. I can't get certain stories up. But if you go ahead and look at the South Florida Tribune drop-down book, Stephen wrote a really good story about the process about the 76ers. It was a really good story, one of his better ones. And I stuck the Bob Ryan interview in there. That shows you how good that story really was for me to stick Bob Ryan's in there. So check it out.
Okay, back to you, Scott.
All right, well, here's a little news item, and then we'll talk about what we titled the show. The 49ers did extend George Kittle, and good thing they did because they brought in Brock Purdy with a $265 million extension. All right, was it inevitable that they were going to extend George Kittle, Mel? Of course, mute doesn't quite work because I didn't take lip reading classes, but try it again. George Kittle. Are we
sorry about that? Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. He's still got some tread on the tire, and Brock Purdy needs that supporting cast on him. I mean, the big thing is that Christian McCaffrey is going to be healthy. The receivers right now, they've been a little banged up this training camp, but as long as he has the weapon, I mean, the tight end has always been a quarterback's best friend. And a guy like him, he's a big time tight end. He can help out Brock Purdy a lot. That's kind of like the safety valve. I mean, it was like what Jay Novacek was for Troy Aikman. I mean, they love those tight ends. When you can't find the receivers on the outside, you look for that guy there on the inside. He's reliable. He can catch the ball, and he continue to move the chains. So yeah, it was absolutely inevitable that they're going to sign the money now. He is getting a little long in the tooth. They are going to have to look at some point in time to life without George Kittle, but right now they still feel that they're right there, that they're built right now to win a championship. So they got to take an opportunity. They got to take advantage of this window that they're in right now. Although that window closed with Brock Brock Purdy being on that rookie contract, but they still feel they have the weapons to contend for a championship right now. So yeah, they definitely. It doesn't surprise me at all that they signed George Kittle to a little more money.
What about you, Candy?
So, anybody know where George Kittle was born?
Hospital.
Yes,
Well, yeah,
Wisconsin.
but Madison, Wisconsin. He's 6'4" and 250. He went to college in Iowa. He was drafted in the 5th round in 2017 and has played his whole NFL career for San Francisco. That tells you a lot right there. Same team. He was two-time first team All-Pro, 3-time second team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowl. Like Mel said, a quarterback's best friend, their go-to when things get tough, is a tight end. So to have a tight end that has been so consistent with the same team, knows the ins and outs, not only of the coach, but the stadium, the field, all of that. It's your security blanket. Why wouldn't you extend your security blanket for Brock Purdy?
Steven?
I mean, one of the, arguably, I think he's the best tight end in football. I know a lot of people have been hyping up Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce finds ways to disappear at the wrong moment. The only thing you can say about Kittle, he's been banged up a little bit, so we talk about it all the time. Availability is the best availability here, but you look at the contract, the last 2 years ain't guaranteed. There's a buyout after the 2027 season. So in reality, it only looks like it's a 2-year deal at the moment that's guaranteed. So he's getting his money now. Listen, when you have a guy like Brock Purdy, you don't know where you're getting out of Brandon Ayuk. They brought in other wide receivers down there in San Francisco, and this guy's been injured. They brought in Amon St. Brown's brother. He got injured. Try to trade for John Mitchell III. Philadelphia steals him from him. So they're going to need to get production out of CMC and Mr. Kittle. I think George is probably one of the more underrated guys in the tight end position. I don't think he gets enough credit. He is the man. And he's in there talking about Brock Bowers. He's only been in the league 1 year. I love Brock. Think he could potentially be the heir apparent to Kelce, Kittle, whatever. But George is the man right now, and the only thing you would have to say if you're a 49er fan is you got to look at those last 2 years. If they're not fully guaranteed and he can be bought out, in reality, it's only a 2-year contract. So I think it works out for both. I think if I remember correctly, when I was looking at it, he has incentives for the off-season workout and per game incentive as well. So we'll see what it looks like. But I mean, it's if you're the San Francisco 49ers, both the front office as a fan, couldn't be happier right now. I think the contract works for both ways. We'll see what George is able to put out on the field this year, because he's probably going to see at least 60% of the targets from Brock Purdy this season. So don't be surprised if he has a humongous year if he's able to stay on the field and healthy.
Throw it over to Marvin.
Yeah, for a team that lost Debo Samuel, and you see CMC, you see him injured. It's a no-brainer. You have a young quarterback still, and you're still trying to get him going. Bringing in signing a guy like Kittle makes sense. This guy's devastating in the run game. I don't know if you guys watch a lot of offensive line play or blocking, but he is an elite level blocker at the tight end position, and that is a difference maker in your offense without question. And when that same guy can come off play action and catch a pop, whatever it may be, I mean, he's dangerous. So this is a no-brainer. He's an elite player. I think he's on a Hall of Fame path, and he's going to help them tremendously in the run game and the pass game. Good move by the Niners.
Tommy?
They already lost. Yeah, as Marvin said, they already lost Debo Samuel. So it's not just talent that they lost. They lost a little bit of the identity of their team. And if McCaffrey's not healthy, maybe it's a lot harder for Kittle to get open. Purdy's skills will be tested more to get him the ball. So it was definitely essential they got him back in the roster. Whether it solves their problems, that remains to be seen.
Tight end university people, University of Iowa. Everybody seems to benefit from it for sure. All right, we talked about the title of the show is Deshaun Watson fleecing the Cleveland Browns. Let me give you some numbers that indicate for this. For 7 games, $9.2 million per TD pass, $15.3 million per interception, $40,000 per passing yard, and $6.5 million per game. How do you like those numbers? Unbelievable. Mel?
I love them. Yeah, I absolutely love them. I mean, hey, they knew who he was when they gave him that money. They knew the situation that he was going through. They knew he was going to have to sit out some time. One guy raised his hand and said, "Hey, we'll trade for him. I'm going to give him all this money." I love it. I mean, get all. I mean, his job is to get the money. His job is to take care of his family. That's his job. It's the owner's job, to figure everything else out. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at him, not one bit. I don't have a problem with it at all.
I thank you for Peak One Sports Network for reposting this on X. Much appreciated. I know the guy real well. His name is Ashton. It was great. I'd love to get him back on the show. Ashton's a very close friend of mine. Thanks for helping us out. All right, Candy, some thoughts about Deshaun Watson and the kind of money he's making for what little they're getting out of him.
Like Mel said, I don't have any problem with him getting money from Cleveland. They knew exactly who he was. They knew exactly what they were getting, and yet they went out and gave him all kinds of money. And I want to be him. I want that kind of money. You want to give Cleveland? Maybe I should go talk to Cleveland. Maybe they'll give me a contract like that.
Hey, everybody's in a Cleveland mood. Tommy?
What I found interesting about Deshaun Watson is some of the stories say, of course, he's coming back from the injuries, but some of the stories say he's been around the team mentoring the younger quarterbacks, Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. And so that's good. That's a good maturity to see out of him. Is he mentoring on what to do right or don't do what I did? Either one is good, I guess, but it shows a level of maturity in him.
Yeah, I mean, I like those crooked numbers. That's why I brought him up here in the first place. So everybody can hear him. Marvin?
Listen, for Deshaun and his family, I'm happy for them. Listen, growing up as an American kid, you're taught, go get the money. Every industry, every aspect of our country, these kids are hearing, go for the money. So, of course, he did the right thing, signing that contract. The Browns, I don't know what they was thinking at that time. Just from an organizational standpoint, I didn't understand how that would be good for them. How do you build on that situation? How do you sell this to people? That's really how I saw that then, and I still see it that way. And obviously, it's been a disaster for them. And it is what it is.
Steven?
I'm gonna reiterate the sentiment everyone said. Cannot be mad at Deshaun Watson. Whatever the contract it is, they made the trade. That they knew he wanted an extension. They paid him the money. No problem with that. Especially what we already talked about with the NFL players. Most of their contracts aren't guaranteed. So no ill will there, but Cleveland got themselves in a right big messy situation. They haven't been able to get the quarterback right. They've reached for guys. They let the right guy go. The wrong guy stays. That in showing how bad of a situation was, they drafted 2 quarterbacks this year, and they're mishandling the situation again. I mean, the way it looks like, because they just came out with, Flacco was going to be the starter, which we all kind of knew what it was, but Sanders is the 4th quarterback right now, and there's a very well possibility that he winds up getting cut. If I'm somebody like the Los Angeles Rams or the Saints or somebody, I'm like, hey, what's it going to take to get Sanders down here? Because there's no way they're gonna keep more than 3 quarterbacks on that football team this year. So somebody's going to be the odd man out, and I don't think they're going to eat that money from Deshaun Watson. So I expect over the next, what is it, 16 days or so, something like that, before the start of the season, that there's going to be some trades going down to get Cleveland down to that 53 man, because no way he's going to be on the practice squad. So I'm going to say it like this, he's going to be collecting his paycheck. The Cleveland front office is going to have to eat what they're going to have to eat. It's their mess now. They got to sit in it and deal with the odor, so to speak.
Well, Jimmy Haslam, there's a reason why you're the laughing stock of the NFL. Enjoy your new dome stadium wherever you're putting it, but everybody can still laugh at you in the meantime. All right, I'll throw a did you know out there. Did you know that Jimmy Garoppolo is the only quarterback from the 2014 NFL draft still on an active roster?
Wow.
Yeah, that's a did you know. That doesn't require a comment all the way around. So he's the only one left from the 2014 class. Did you know? Now let's talk about Cam Ward. His rookie contract is a 4-year fully guaranteed at $48.7 million. When you go ahead and look at Deshaun Watson, that's called pocket change when you look at Cam Ward. So let's go around the horn with this one. Steve, what do you think about Cam Ward's contract?
I mean, ain't nothing crazy. I mean, number 1 overall pick, quarterback. This is what you're going to typically expect to see from it. So, props to my guy. Make sure you get your money where you can get it, especially if there's a good possibility you're gonna be getting your head kicked in being down there in Tennessee over the next few years. So hopefully they start putting it together and he's not running for his life this season.
Did I call on you, Marvin? I think I did, right?
No, I mean, listen, he's a quarterback.
Oh, no.
He's a quarterback. He's the number 1 pick. It makes sense. On top of that, I think that number is already slotted based upon where you picked based on the last
right.
CBA. So at this point, these guys know what they're getting when they get drafted. They have an idea, and it's fitting and it makes sense, and good for him.
Yeah, you know why they're slotted? I'll give you 2 quarterbacks. Why? Sam Bradford and Matthew Stafford.
Sam was the last one to get paid. He was the last guy to get that contract.
Yeah, Sam Bradford. I never thought I'd see the day that William Clay Ford ever paid $40 million. I said, William Clay Ford paid $40 million to a quarterback, let alone. And then, of course, he has Sam Bradford going behind him. That's why Cam Ward getting paid dirt cheap at $48.7 million. All right, Tommy.
Well, yeah, he's slotted on the money. The thing that worries me I wasn't not worried about it before, but I guess he got a fight the other day with a defensive lineman on his team, and he's the one who started it. He was taunting the defensive lineman about a touchdown and chased after him and gave him a little shove. Marvin and Mel, you know more than me. He's a quarterback. You don't taunt your teammate, do you? Even in training camp?
Well, Cam Ward does. I saw
it happens. Yeah, it happens.
You're dealing with a lot of grown men out there.
But offensive defense is 2 different things. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
Candy?
You don't want to see him throw a punch, which we don't want them to punch somebody in the face with their face, man. You don't want that. But
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's called breaking.
I always think of the quarterback as leading the whole team. So
that's called breaking fingers. You don't want that. That's for sure. All right, Candy.
But maybe he felt the defense needed a little motivation. I mean, we don't know the whole story. Like, I get it. He is a rookie. Kudos to him. I mean, he got $32.1 million signing bonus. Nice. He's actually only going to make like 12.1 average annual value.
Only.
As a rookie, as someone that's never played a game yet in the NFL, but he got paid last year too. Let's face it. I mean, he was one of the highest paid in the collegiate level. Got the first.
He's not taking a pay cut. Shador is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Exactly. He has a lot to prove yet. Remains to be seen. Obviously, going the first pick of the draft means you're going to one of the worst teams, though, too. So, what is his supporting cast going to do to help him get to that next contract? Because let's face it, yes, you got paid on this one, but you want to get the next one, too. So, the proof will be in what happens these next couple years.
Oh, well, Kane's going to hand it off to Mel.
Yeah, I mean, they're all slotted now because owners got tired of spending big money on players that didn't produce. I mean, you had your Jamarcus Russells, even Sam Bradford. I mean, he never really panned out the way that I think that people thought he would pan out. They just get and the players too. I mean, they wanted some of that money to go to the veterans. I mean, all of a sudden you got a guy coming in fresh out of college, and he's the highest paid player in the team. That just didn't set right with the veterans. It should, and they had to make it. They had to make that adjustment. And I think he's making good money. He's making great money, and I'm sure they're going to renegotiate. He'll renew his contract, or he'll get a contract extension that, based on his performance, and he'll get up there and making that type of $60 million Dak Prescott money, or whatever the type of money that they're paying a quarterback at that particular time. Whatever it is, it's going to be too much. But I'm not mad at him for getting it. But he's making the type of money that he's slotted to make based on the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay, well, here's a news note that I want to put out there. We'll continue on. We have another 40 minutes left to go. I want to make sure I get it all out there. The Atlanta Falcons are picking up Drake London. He had 100 catches for 12.7 yards per catch. They picked him up. And when you compare his numbers, Justin Jefferson had 103 catches for 14 yards per catch. Jamar Chase 127 catches, 13.4 yards per catch. So, yeah, what do you think of the acquisition of Drake London out in Atlanta? And Mel, you're there.
Well, Drake was here, so they just re-signed him, right? They just gave him a new contract, right? He was already here. I mean, he's an SC guy too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I don't have much good to say about him, but I think it's probably good for the Falcons that they re-signed him. I mean, he's a competitor. It's going to be good for the quarterback. I think, Michael Penix Jr. I think it's going to be good. But I mean, we still kind of don't know what this team is going to look like. I know Michael Penix came in and played a little bit late in the season last year, but we're still trying to figure out what this team is going to look like. I did happen to go to the preseason game when the Lions played him. But we'll see. I think it's good for him, obviously. I mean, that means you drafted well. If you're re-signing your players, that means you drafted well, and that's what you want to do. You want to try to build your team from within. You want to try to reward the players that you draft, unlike what Jerry's doing down there with the Cowboys. When you draft well, that's a good problem to have, that you have to re-sign somebody. If you're not trying to re-sign your own players, then you got a problem in your scouting department.
Candy?
I would agree completely. If you're re-signing, that means you did make the right decision, and you feel he's the best player to go forward. You need depth, obviously, at that position. He also knows the offense and stuff like that. So that if you have success with the guys, you want to re-sign them. Obviously, you don't want to pay ridiculous amounts of money, because let's face it, there is 53 men on that roster that you are paying. But hey, if you can get him at a good deal, you most definitely want to re-sign.
Tommy?
Body receiver, and if you're going to draft Michael Penix as your quarterback when you already had Kirk Cousins, you better make sure you have good receivers for Penix to throw to. So, yeah, it's a good move.
Marvin?
Listen, smart move. They're keeping and putting weapons around this guy between Bijan and Drake and Kyle. I think the Falcons have a decent offense. Drake has shown enough in the first 2-3 years. You see that he is an up-and-coming receiver, big guy who can play big, runs well, catches great, good hands. So, yeah, smart move, and this is a great way to support your young quarterback.
Steven?
I mean, he's a You want to retain your guys, but I don't hear Drake being mentioned in the top 10 conversations of anything. So you still don't know what the idea as the the guys on the panels talking about. You don't know the identity of that team is yet. You don't know what Michael Penix is yet. They still got Bijan Robinson down there. You got Kyle Pitts there. I think that they have a nice core there on the offensive side of the ball. They did address some needs in the draft on the defense, so we have to see what this year Atlanta Falcons look like. But unless this kid's putting up 12, 13, 1,400 yards, with double-digit touchdowns this year, I don't know if the contract's worth it. But you want to retain your guys. You want to be able to not have to bring in a top guy and pay him a max contract. So it's good you're able to retain your guys, but let's see what this team looks like on the field this year.
The main thing is when you're retaining your guys, you're drafting well. That's what it comes
Obviously.
down. Yeah, obviously when you do that, you draft well, your personnel department looks good. So yeah, you definitely want to retain them. More power to them. Young quarterback there, you have to support them. All right, well, let's go to now. We have a George Pickens sighting here. He has no plans to sign an extension, and Dallas won't sign an extension with Dallas at $120 million. At a bit, what are your thoughts, Mel, about him not wanting to pay that kind of money? Pay him that kind of money. Where's he
Well,
going to
Dallas doesn't want to pay him that kind of money, or he doesn't want to sign for that kind of money.
No,
What'd
he
you say?
doesn't. He's not ready to re-sign there, at least right away. He's
Yeah, I mean,
not looking to sign an extension.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Dallas was even offering him. Jerry's being so funny acting. But for him, I think
right.
for him, I mean, he's going to bet on himself.
Right.
He's got a quarterback finally that can distribute the ball. He's got somebody on the other side that can take the defense, some of that coverage away from him, and you're going to get an opportunity to see what type of player he can be. I mean, he's shown that he has some explosive plays in him. Now we just need to be able to see if he can do it on a consistent level. The only thing I worry about with him is, he has a tendency to let his emotions get the best of him. It happened. I want to say it happened in college. He had an incident. He's, a few times there in Pittsburgh and Dallas. This is a wild, wild west there. I mean, they just do what they want to do. So it's kind of, it could go either way for him here. And so we're going to find out a lot about him and his maturity. If he's not getting the ball there, I mean, there's really no adult in the room there. Shanahan, the coach, he's been around for a while. I mean, Shanahan. I mean, who's the adult in the room there? Jerry, he's acting like a big old kid. So you got a lot of things going on there, and this thing could get off the rails, real quickly if things don't start off properly. I mean, I just don't see any type of structure there, and he's the kind of guy that needs some structure, and unfortunately, I don't see a lot of structure there. So this could be bad for him. It could be good for him. It's really 50-50. It's a toss-up.
Okay, Candy.
What does Jerry think he's doing to this team? Seriously. You've got guys that are holding out, that don't want to play, that you can't do their contracts. Who are you going to field on that team? You claim you want to go get to the Super Bowl, but you are not making moves that'll get you there. And I know this is a football show, but I'm going to refer back to my Milwaukee Brewers. Yes, they were on a hot streak. They are not the biggest payroll in baseball, but they are having fun together as a team. If you have all these guys that are having contract issues and this issues and that issues, you're not going to gel as a team together. And if you're not playing as a team together, you're not going to have success. So what Jerry is doing is beyond me. But then again, I'm not a GM. I'm not the owner down there. And I could frankly care less how good or bad Dallas does.
And for the man nodding his head, you can take it over from there, Mr. Stevens.
Listen, I don't hide my disdain for the Stars down there in Dallas. Was it a good move for Jerry to bring in George Pickens? It absolutely was. They needed a legitimate number two. CeeDee Lamb's been hurt over the last few years. Dak's been hurt over the last few years. They do have a decent team, but dysfunction wins out. I think for Pickens, it's absolutely the right move to bet on yourself and test the market. I think of right now, even good year, bad year, just the way the wide receiver market plays out, he could get a 3-year, anywhere from a 50 to a $75+ million contract on the open market. So why would you not test it and give yourself the most eyes on you by allowing a trade to go to Dallas? Because Pickens is not a dummy for doing this. Some people were could say that you should just take the contract and do it. No. He's about to get out of his rookie deal. So he knows that he's about to get a big payday, regardless if he winds up signing with Dallas. I've seen some reports of a lot of pundits, and analysts around the league don't feel like he's even going to be on the team come Thanksgiving. It all depends on what happens with Jerry stirring the shit pot down there in Dallas. He basically already said he looks at his team as a soap opera. We already know how he runs his team, and that's why I keep sitting there saying, as an Eagles fan, make sure that he has the best medical care that the United States has to offer. Make sure that man lives to be 150. Because I cannot sit there and enjoy watching the fire that is the Dallas Cowboys while I'm eating my marshmallows, laughing at it. But it could go well, as Mel was saying, because I don't know. I'm not the biggest Dak fan, but he can still sling the ball. He could still produce wins, regardless of what's going on around him. But the question is can they quiet all the noise going around them and put together a winning football team that can sustain a playoff run? Has been the question over the last 30 years, and it hasn't been able to happen. A lot of people felt the Romo and Dak years should have had deeper playoff runs, but they didn't. Right. Even some of the late 2010s teams, the first few years of Dak, they probably should have had deeper runs, and they couldn't get out of their own way. At the end of the day, big run, no run, whatever. George Pickens is going to get the most eyes on him this season. So if I'm him, I do what Mel says: bet on yourself, get yourself the most money on the open market, and walk at the end of the season.
Marvin,
it really comes down to, for me, the guaranteed money. That's what I want to hear about, is how much is that guaranteed? Because it could be $100 million contract, but this dude's walking away with like $5 to $10 million. Like, that's realistic,
exactly.
So that really matters. Listen, this is a violent contact league, and in one play, your whole career is done.
Right.
I think it's hard. I mean, for me now at this age, looking back on it, if I were in his position, I think it's hard to walk away from a lot of guaranteed money in this game. But again, I understand. I believe in the whole building yourself mentality, and I get all that. But again, you're just one play away from a completely different situation. So if he chose to bet on himself, look, he has a proven quarterback. Dak can get the ball to the guy. They're going to throw the ball in Dallas, and I respect his decision. I do. But I'm also assuming that guaranteed number was low.
Well, I respect his decision too, but the only question is Brian Schottenheimer is 1/10 of the coach of Mike Tomlin is. So the reality of the situation is we don't know what you have with Brian Schottenheimer, but you know what you have with Mike Tomlin. So, sometimes you wonder if you can take your cake and eat it too. I don't know. That to me is what it is. So yeah, I can understand why he wouldn't take that deal, but where are you going to go next? I don't know. I'll turn over to Tommy. A couple of topics I want to get to. So that'll be my take on it. We'll go to Tommy, and then we're going to talk about another headache that the Cowboys had to deal with via the Carolina Panthers. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, well, you said it right there. If you can't get along with Mike Tomlin, there's something wrong with you.
Right.
Jerry Jones has brought in a lot of problem players. I don't think any of them have panned out, have they? Remember that the defensive end from the Panthers they brought in a few years ago who was guilty of serious domestic violence charges. So I don't know. Does he think he's Al Davis? Al Davis had great luck bringing in problem guys and getting their best years out of them. But I don't see this working out. And like Steve, I enjoy seeing the Cowboys flounder.
Good. All right. Well, we'll kind of stay on the theme a little bit. The Carolina Panthers draft move forced the Cowboys to scramble for the George Pickens trade as Carolina selected Terrio McMillan. Cowboys wanted to trade up. Didn't quite happen. Mel, I'll tell you one thing. The Cowboys had to go for Pickens because they already had their man. Carolina Panthers had their guy.
I mean, they're looking at the wrong guy. Well, the Cowboys were relevant. If Jerry would just go back and look at history, when the Cowboys were relevant, when the Cowboys were good, they ran the football. I mean, you look at, the quarterback gets all the attention, he gets all the notoriety, but Tony Dorsett was the horse that pulled the buggy. Okay, Emmitt Smith was the horse that pulled the buggy. Zeke Elliott was the horse that pulled the buggy. When Dak his rookie year, he did phenomenal. He was a great distributor. He's kind of like Brock Purdy. He just distributed the ball. He just handed the ball off to Zeke, and then when it called for him to make a play, he was able to make a play. Now, when you have him go back there and drop back 35, 40 times a game, that's not when he's at his best. That's not, you're putting Dak in an unfair position. That's not when Dak's at his best. Tony Romo the same way. I mean, he put up phenomenal numbers, but they didn't have that strong running game. They had one year they had DeMarco Murray. They had a good running game. But other than that, they didn't have that strong running game to go along with it. They just had Tony Romo that's slinging the ball all over the yard. That's not Jerry should see by now that that's not a winning formula. They've got to get back to running the football, being aggressive, or being physical at the line of scrimmage and running the football. You look at these holdouts. The one, and Marvin can probably attest to this. There's only one guy that I've seen come back from a holdout that's had a stellar season. That was Emmitt Smith when he held out a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
When guys hold out, they don't have great seasons. They end up getting hurt because you need that time in training camp to get your body built up to deal with the physicality of a season. The soft tissue injuries. The last thing you want is a guy holding out, holding in, whatever you want to call it. You need your guys practicing. So why wouldn't they do everything in their power to get these guys practicing? I don't understand it. So Jerry needs to get back to. He needs to go back and understand when their teams were at their best and what they did. They were physical football teams, and I think he's just lost sight of it because he's in the entertainment business. All he wants to do is entertain. All he's concerned about is making money. He's not really concerned about winning football games. He's certainly not concerned about winning Super Bowls, because if he was, he'd make sure that his best player was taken care of and he was out there in the field, because that gives them the best opportunity to win. Micah Parsons holding in does not give them the best opportunity to win.
All I'll say is it'll be interesting to see what the Terrio McMillan does and what the Cowboys have in George Pickens. Candy?
I would agree. Like, you got to get your players out on the field. There's a reason why we do preseason. As much as people say, we've shortened preseason and stuff like that, you still need to get some game time. You still need to get hit. You still need some film that you can, and not just practice, because practice is not the same. You're not going the same speed. You don't have the same opponents. And yes, I know that you have joint practices, but it's still not the same. You still put a red jersey on that quarterback, even though in the preseason you're not going full tilt on them. I would say in practices you got those red jerseys, and so it's not the same as game time, especially for as many rookies as we're putting out on the field. They haven't seen the NFL style of play, tempo of play, and they need reps. I think it's just very important. And Jerry's screwed up everything. You might as well screw up this too. So,
Okay, Tommy.
Oh, I already did my Jerry Jones spiel.
Okay, well then we'll move on. Marvin,
You got
you know anything about Tatoria McMillan?
no. I see him listed in my fantasy draft listing, but
Okay.
I haven't done the research on him. You got to do everything you can to get your guys in camp, though. That's what it's about.
Exactly.
Your best chance of success is with guys practicing together. As Kenny said, you need that. Yeah.
So when you learn about McMillan, let me know. How's that on the next show? If it takes you 2 or 3, it's no big deal. But the reality is the Panthers outsmarted Jerry by taking this guy, and they had to go after Pickens, who's probably a rental if he even makes it to the end of the year. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Yeah, it will be. All right, Steve, you have the last word. A few more topics I want to get to.
It's not hard to outthink Jerry Jones anymore. Have you guys not realized this? He is not the best general manager in football. He's probably arguably the worst in professional sports as we're speaking on it at this moment. So, regardless if he was on Dallas's radar or not, unless you're trading up to go get who you need, which they don't try to do, that you're right up in these situations where you're not getting the right guys. And, props to McMillan. He's going to be there in Carolina with a good young quarterback in Bryce Young. We'll see how he's able to integrate himself into that offense, and let's see how much improved the Carolina Panthers are.
Thanks a lot for the research, Eddie. McMillan is a stud. As an Arizona Wildcat fan, I saw enough from McMillan. That's what I was hoping for. Okay. With that said, I want to ask you guys a quick question. Pat Riley said, "Don't ever come into my office and tell me to fire a coach. Your job is to play basketball." That's culture. So I'm going to ask you real quickly, Mel, do you agree with what Riley has to say about this? Is that culture? Don't tell me to come in and fire a coach.
Well, what Pat Riley, you're referring back to the LeBron situation when LeBron wanted Pat Riley to come down there and coach for him. They wanted to get rid of Spoelstra.
Right.
Pat Riley's that kind of guy. I mean, he had to take control. Let him know that, hey, you can't come back. Can't go behind my back. I mean, that first of all, you're questioning his decision. So, because Pat Riley put him in place, so now you're questioning the decision that he made to make this guy the head coach. So, yeah, I mean, he's absolutely correct about that, 100%.
Candy?
There's a chain of command that you need to follow, whether you're in a business or whether you're in a sports team. And a player is not the GM, is not the owner. They're not supposed to tell anybody who should be their boss, who should be telling him what to do.
Tommy?
The funny thing about that is Riley got his job as a head coach when the Lakers players got what was the Lakers coach's
Paul
name?
Westhead.
Westhead.
Yeah,
When he
Magic
wanted to
ran
control every single play from the sidelines, Magic got most of the blame, but the other players were upset too. And so I find it kind of funny. Maybe he learned his lesson that way, but he also benefited from the players deciding what was best for the team.
Yeah, well, Magic taught a lot of people a lot of things. And I'll tell you one thing. Pat Riley, by the way, is getting a statue out in L.A. pretty soon. But Magic Johnson's the reason he's getting it. Marvin, you're on L.A., so give me your L.A. take of this whole thing about Pat Riley.
Yeah, so if this is the Pat Riley LeBron thing, it's not crazy for a player of LeBron's caliber in a player-driven league to go to the owner or GM and say, I want this move taken care of. The issue is that's case by case and who you do that to. And this is Pat Riley. You know what I mean?
Right.
Pat Riley has rings that LeBron can only dream of. So, I think he found out who the boss is. He saw what leadership looks like. And again, that's culture.
Yeah, well, if anybody knows what culture is, it's Pat Riley. Go ahead, Steven.
Mm-hmm. Tom hit it on the head, man. He anyone who's been around long enough to see how the situation in LA played out. Westhead was kind of micromanaging situations that probably didn't need to push on too hard, and the players multiple different times before Pat took over was trying to get Pat to run the team and be the head coach and still let Paul kind of run the offense and things like that. But it didn't work out, and eventually Paul was out, and Pat kind of go in there because that's who the players wanted at the end of the day. But the situation you're referring to, absolutely, LeBron's trying to flex his star status. Didn't like what his coach, how he was being coached, how he was being held accountable, because from what we've heard out of that situation is Spoelstra was calling LeBron out for his inadequacies in his game that was causing the team's problems.
Right.
And he was done with Spoelstra and wanted him out of there. I don't know why he thought Pat Riley was going to allow that to happen. And what happened at the end? LeBron took his ball and went back to Cleveland. Right? He took his ball, went back to Cleveland.
Yeah, right.
He didn't man up. He didn't hold himself accountable. He does what he always do. He runs and hides.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on, Marvin. You know what's about to happen out there in LA this year, right? You know what's about to happen, right?
Tell me. What's about to happen?
He's going to do it again. He's going to go take his ball and run home again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, Bronny's there.
Back to Cleveland, but
Bronny's there. He's not going nowhere.
The writing's on the wall when you just seen the big contract that Luka just signed, and Bronny Jr. nor LeBron was there for it, and not showing the teammates love when the whole rest of the team is there at the press conference. It speaks volumes. The writing's on the wall. He's going to do it again. But back to the point we're talking about here. Listen, LeBron is a generational talent, and there are some incidences where you do hold that weight and you can have those conversations. But as Candy said, there's a proper way to go about it. He didn't go about it through the proper channels and was just trying to get him run out of town. That's not how you go about it. There is a culture of this thing. There is a way that things like this can be done. And LeBron just has this way of doing it the wrong way.
All right, let me go on to another point. This is something that I really wanted to get out there. A quick shout out to this guy. For the first time in 63 years, the GOAT, John Harrington, with 443 wins, high school wins, will miss the first day of football practice. He's recovering from a heart attack and hopes to rejoin North Farmington. That's out in Michigan, by the way, staff. That's the second miss in 55 years. And he had success at Farmington Harrison High School, my hometown. Mel, I know you're familiar with John Harrington. He's quite the foundational coach out there in Michigan. Isn't he quite a legend out in Michigan, John Harrington?
Oh, yeah, without question. I mean, they've had some good football teams out there at North Farmington. I believe that's where he coaches at. Or Farmington Harrison. Sorry,
That's where he won his championships. But he's now at North Farmington because the other one, Harrison, is no more.
Yeah, they had some good football teams. Had some good players come out of that program as well. But yeah, him and my coach, they're legendary coaches there. Also, the coach, Coach Mack from that other school out there, CC. There's some legendary coaches out there in Michigan. I mean, we play some football. I know people down here in Georgia think that they're the only place to play high school football, but they play a little high school football up there in Michigan as well. They like their football up there, and we've had some great players come out of the state of Michigan and had some great players come out of that program without question.
Yeah, so if you Google up John Harrington, Herrington, he's got 443 wins, you realize you got one heck of a coach in the high school ranks in Michigan. All right, I want to move on to another thing real quick, and then we're going to turn over to Tom Shanahan with his report. It'll be interesting to see how the Bucs did by signing undrafted free agent Shiloh Sanders. He gets a 3-year deal at $2.9 million. Mel, this looks like a steal is really what it is on the surface with Shiloh Sanders.
I mean, I like Shiloh. That money doesn't really mean anything because how much of it was guaranteed. It only means something if he makes the club. He's getting an opportunity. I think he's a thumper. I mean, from watching him play in Colorado, he is a thumper. He did get hurt a little bit because he tends to, he throws his body around and he tends to get hurt. I think he might have an opportunity to, maybe make it on the practice squad, get another year of development there in Todd Bowles' system. Obviously, Todd, probably knows his dad real well. maybe give him a little solid, give him an opportunity to hang around the program for a little while on the practice squad, and then see what happens next year. But as far as him making the team this year to be a long shot, it's very difficult. Although a lot of undrafted free agents do make teams now. From where what people thought about him, and it's kind of unfair because it's comparing his dad to him, and there's no comparison. I mean, Dion is 101, obviously. I kind of understand. I can understand that comparison aspect of it, but he's getting an opportunity, and I think he's making the most of that opportunity, and that's all that you can ask for. And if he gets an opportunity to hang around the practice squad, funny things happen. People get hurt. He'll get. He may get an opportunity to get called up, play on some special teams, maybe get into certain packages, and see where he can go and build himself a nice little career. But I mean, I do think he's a good football player. He's a thumper. There's no question about it. I don't know about his coverage ability, but I know he likes the contact aspect of the game.
Andy?
Kudos to him for getting a contract. Let's see what he can do with it. He's really got to play out and play his best now so he can show what he can do. Let's face it, he's got some big shoes to fill because everybody, thinks of his dad, then they think of his brother next. So he's had a lot of pressure too. And that there's something to be said for, getting to his level, even with all that pressure around him. Let's see what he can do. Hopefully he can make the team. Nothing's locked though. So let's hope.
Steven?
I was another one that was wondering where the Sanders kids land. Everyone had already made some great points. He has a physical style play. He tends to play a little reckless. He's playing with house money right now. He's only got to make it 2 more weeks. Make the cut, make his impression, but the fact that you have an undrafted free agent through the draft, given a multi-year contract, is kind of something to pick an eyebrow up about. It's something to kind of pay attention to. I think he's enamored himself with Todd Bowles. Bowles is more of a defensive minded coach as it is, so he probably there's things that he sees in Sanders that probably a lot of people didn't really see on film, and sometimes it takes seeing a guy like that up close and personal before you can kind of really get a grasp of what his game is. So obviously he's probably shown him something that say, hey, let's give him a contract, let's keep him here in Tampa, and let's see what we can mold him into over the next few seasons. So he's making the best of the opportunities that's given to him. So let's see how it plays out over the next few weeks, if he makes the roster or not.
Steven, you just said a mouthful there. The part I like the best is the fact that he was given a multi-year deal. So we'll see if he makes a team, but the fact that they even thought of giving a multi-year deal is they thought enough of him to even make that move in the first place. Marvin?
Yeah, listen, I'm a guy who made an NFL roster as an undrafted free agent. And I tell you what, Shiloh being the son of Prime, there's no doubt that his father has been talking to him for years about his first NFL training camp, what it's going to be like, what to expect, so on and so forth. That's how it was for me. Me and my dad were having those conversations when I was in elementary school, kid you not. So he has a certain level of maturity and awareness in addition to the physicality Mel was talking about. It would not shock, and I've heard Todd Bowles talk well about this kid. It would not shock me to see this kid make this team at all.
Tommy?
Well, what I like about it is he seems to be making his own identity. He's not playing for his dad for the first time, and he's got a chance to get his own identity. And let's give Dion some credit. All kinds of pundits were saying that Dion was going to manipulate the draft to go somewhere with Shador, and he's staying out of the way here with Shiloh too, and giving both those guys a chance to establish themselves without their dad looking over their shoulder. So Dion deserves some credit for that.
All right, Tommy, we're going to stay with you. Oh, yeah, the Shanahan report. What you got?
Well, I was going to talk about the AP All-American team, and Tim Tebow is the best quarterback for the last 100 years. College football, give me a break. But what you said about high school coaches and something that Mel said, I want to switch to that because that's something I've always been fascinated with. And I want to say to you, Mel, I always tell people when they talk about the great talent down in the South, and I grew up in Michigan too. Yeah, but in Michigan, we turn out football players and basketball players. But the thing that I am really respect high school coaches, and it's a shame they aren't paid. It's a criminal. All teachers aren't paid more than they are. But I never knew how important high school coaches were when I played high school sports because I didn't have any influential high school sports coaches. In fact, I look back on it, and they were irresponsible in a lot of ways. But when I became a young sports writer, and I was in San Diego, where there were a lot of great high school coaches, and I still remember to this day, only being a year out of college, and a kid at one of the San Diego football powers telling me that Dick Haynes, who was a legendary coach in San Diego, was like his dad. And my jaw dropped. I said, what? Your high school coach is like your dad? It was completely outside my frame of reference. I had no experience at all like that with coaches. And it also reminds me of the story because I worked in San Diego a long time and knew Bill Walton a little bit. And Bill and I were talking about that. Bill, of course, played for John Wooden at UCLA, but he also had a legendary coach in San Diego who was his high school coach at Helix. And Bill, I told Bill my story, and Bill told me, I thought everybody had a great coach until I got to the NBA and started meeting guys. So I just want to tip my cap to high school coaches. They're so important. There aren't enough of them, and they definitely don't get paid enough.
Well said, Tommy.
Well, they get paid here in Georgia. I don't know about the rest of the country, but they get paid here in Georgia. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Now that you brought that up, Mel, I'm going to let everybody know how they get a hold of you. And before I do that, just in case you're joining us at the top of the show, Steve, I know you were, I don't know if you heard this, but I lost my only uncle that I have left, Bob, at the age of 80 due to cancer today. Rest in peace, Uncle Bob. You'll definitely be missed. So I want to dedicate the show to my Uncle Bob. His funeral will be on Friday. I won't be able to get there because of the fact that I'm dealing with a myriad of illnesses myself, but I'll be watching it stream as well. So with that, so Uncle Bob, God bless, and you'll definitely be missed. All right, Mel, why don't you let everybody know how they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me on all social media at Mel Farr Jr. Also follow what we have going on for the youth down here in Atlanta, also up in Detroit at Mel Farr superstarfoundation.org.
Tommy?
Hey, go to my website, tomshanahan.report. It's the best football website in the country on college football and immigration history. And Mel, you will enjoy this book. This is my latest book, The Right Thing to Do. It has chapters on the great Jerry Levias, who is what, a great cousin of yours? Yeah, you know, he's a cousin of your dad.
He's my dad's first cousin,
yeah,
Jerry Levias.
Right. And then, of course, the great Willie Ray Smith, the father of Bubba Smith.
Bubba and Toady Smith. Yeah.
And the Willie Ray Smith Award is the Heisman Trophy of Southeast Texas. This book is filled with untold stories about the true leaders of college football integration. You can find it on my website, tomshanahan.report, or Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And you can find Tommy every Tuesday night here on Inside the Pigskin. All right, Marvin, valuable Marvin. You find him every Tuesday. I love working with Marvin. Right, my brother Marvin?
Listen, I love this, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, Scott, no doubt about it. You and Stephen Can't even great, and I enjoy talking football with you guys. You could find me on good old Facebook, Marvin Powell III, and I'm not hard to find, y'all.
The guy's great. I appreciate you acknowledging some of the stuff that we put out there as well. Thanks, Marvin. I see you're active on Facebook. God bless. You know how I feel about you. You're like a brother to me from another mother, and you've won my heart, and you've certainly earned my respect. Okay, Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, just like Marvin, real easy to find me. Just type in the names. Stephen Rochelle, Facebook, Instagram, uh, X, YouTube, and TikTok. It's the at name right underneath there. That's Steve Sports Talk One. Show us the love there. Me and Ben will be on tomorrow morning from 11 to 1 talking football, having some fun with everyone as per usual. But other than that, just make sure you guys are locked in. We're getting closer to these giveaway milestones that we're at, and going to continue to have fun as we move on into the football season here on the South Florida Tribune Media Network.
All right, Candy, take us home.
Well, since everybody else was saying how they can find you guys can find them, you guys can find me here. Let's see. Monday nights, Scott's got me on the baseball show. Tuesday nights, he's got me on the football show. Wednesday nights, I'm on Sports Exchange. And then Thursday nights, I do Fire Up. So every Monday through Thursday, you can always find me right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube network. But South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40 plus years in the media business, old school media versus new school media. We talk about how NIL has changed college football. Well, Scott talks about how the media has changed over those years as well. So go get your copy today. It's available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content. So go check it out. We have all kinds of sports, especially the colleges here in Florida, the Gators, the Florida State, FAU, Miami Hurricanes, and USF Bulls. They all send us content, so go check it out, as well as some of the professional teams as well. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor any one of our shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And yes, I will say this. We do have a Facebook page, South Florida Tribune. We also have a Twitter account at Tribune South. But yes, Stephen, we're getting close to some of those numbers. We need you guys to, if you haven't, that little red subscribe button, hit it like a share us, but then turn on your notifications so you are notified when we go live, so then you can come into the chat room and comment and stuff like that. We're putting up some great content, some great shows going up. Like I said, Bob Ryan, go check out that interview. That was great. You want to hear how media access has changed over the years? Go check that out. But we also have put up some good videos on our trip, and we keep putting up more and more because we don't want to inundate you with all of them at once. So keep checking out the or the YouTube channel to see more of that great vacation that we took. Back to you, Scott.
Yeah, I tell you, there's nothing like having a vacation. You have Stephen Reichel running the show back here, and me going ballistic with all these videos all over the place. And it really is unbelievable. I realize that I'm dealing with some major medical issues right now where I may or may not remember these down the road. But if I ever go ahead and watch that tape, I'll know I was there. And for all you people that know who I am, will know exactly what I'm talking about. But when you're able to do videos in this modern day of technology, which I don't like, then to me, that's just surreal about where technology has gone. So meanwhile, once again, I don't overdo it. But once again, rest in peace, Uncle Bob. I want to thank Mel, Candy, Stephen, Marvin, and Tommy for joining us tonight. And we will see you next week, next Tuesday night on Inside the Pigskin. God bless everybody. I'll have a lot more hay, so we all have plenty to say next week. Have a great week, everybody. God bless and love all of you. Bye now.